all distinguished panelists and participants. Bharati Vidyapeeth's Institute of Computer Applications and Management BVI CAM, in association with Computational Intelligence Society CIS chapter of IEEE Delhi section, Computer Society CS chapter of IEEE Delhi section, Technology and Engineering Management Society TEMS chapter of IEEE Delhi section, System, Man and Cybernetics Society, SMC chapter of IEEE Delhi section, Communication Society of IEEE Delhi section, Consultants Network Affinity CNA Group of IEEE Delhi section, Life Member Affinity LMA Group of IEEE Delhi section, Inter-Society Relations IRS Standing Committee of IEEE Delhi section, Industry Relations and Special Interest Group on Humanitarian Technology Site Standing Committees of IEEE Delhi section, Region 10 of IEEE with the Associations of Computer Society of India, CSI, Institute of Information Technology Professionals, IITP, ISTE Delhi section, and IETE Delhi Center as technical collaborators. Welcomes you all to the IEEE IETE BVI CAM Technical Lecture Series on Design Thinking Demystified Practical Approaches for Everyday. It is a moment of pride and honor to announce that we, with united hands, mark special contribution for the monumental occasions Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, an initiative to celebrate 75 years of glorious independence, as well as contribute our bit in seeking to find practical global solutions for the benefit of all. The aim of India during its G20 presidency tenure in 2023. This webinar today is an initiative to mark both these monumentous occasions, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav as well as our G20 presidency. According to Steve Jobs, design is not just what it looks like and feels like. Design is how it works. This simple quote carries a lot of depth as it showcases how design drives the complete game. This webinar is designed to unravel the complexities of design thinking and provide the attendees with practical strategies to incorporate this powerful methodology into their everyday work. Led by Richa Sarabhai, who has extensive experience in design thinking across diverse domains, this session will delve into the fundamental principles and techniques that drive successful design thinking processes. Through real-life case studies and examples, participants will gain a deep understanding of how to empathize with users, define problem statements, ideate innovative solutions, prototype, and test their designs. Whether you are a novice designer or a professional from any field looking to enhance your problem-solving skills, this webinar today promises to demystify design thinking and equip you with actionable insights to lock your creative potential. Don't miss this opportunity to discover practical approaches for harnessing the power of design thinking in your everyday endeavors. Let's embark on a transformative journey towards becoming a more empathetic, innovative, and user-centered problem solver. I would first take this opportunity to welcome amongst us our distinguished panelists for the day. We are privileged to have amongst us a galaxy of experts. I would first welcome Professor M.N. Huda Sir, Director, Bharati Vidyapeeth's Institute of Computer Applications and Management, BVI CAM, and Executive Vice Chairperson, IEEE Delhi Section, to address the participants with his inspiring words.
Good evening, one and all. Dr. Ritika, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So at the outset, I take this opportunity to welcome our valued speaker, Richa Sarabhai, Design Director, Nagaro, and on my personal behalf, on behalf of IEEE and all the collaborating societies, I take this opportunity to thank her for his precious time and being with all of us to enlighten us. Dear friends, I also take this opportunity to welcome all my friends from who keep on having confidence in this platform, collaborating with us and keep on waiting for this program. Thank you so much. And all the participants who from different parts of the country and abroad keep on waiting for this lecture series, and they keep on attending it. We have already created history by sustaining it for more than 3 years. And this is the fourth year which has started. Today's series is 127th lecture of this weekly evening IETE, IEEE, BVI Camp webinar series, and on a topic which is design thinking. Friends, design is a very innovative concept now, and the kind of the services, product or services, and their length and breadth, and the kind of the services which we keep on providing, design has become very important and paramount. Whether it is designing a house, or designing in a smart city, or maybe designing in a smartphone, or maybe or designing or designing maybe designing a kind of web services, designing a kind of portal, or designing anything. Now a professional field in which designing a field is very important, and for that particular purpose this particular lecture series has been organized. And today I'm traveling to University of New York, and I take this opportunity to welcome my valued speaker today to enlighten all of us. Dear friends, 4 more lecture series have already been announced, and I request to all of you, those who have not registered, kindly register for those programs so that you do not miss the link of attending the program. And like always, I would like to conclude on this note that फूलों की तरह फिर खिलेंगे हम, फूलों की तरह फिर खिलेंगे हम, और अगले सैटरडे एक नए टॉपिक के साथ फिर मिलेंगे हम. Thank you so much. Wish you all the best. God bless you all. Keep learning despite disruptions, and keep spreading the knowledge with all your friends, all your colleagues. All the best. Over to you, Dr. Ritika.
Thank you, sir. With this, we'll welcome our speaker, Ms. Richa Sarabhai, amongst us with an e-bouquet. Welcome to the session, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ritika. Thank you so much, Professor Huda. Glad to be here.
Thank you, ma'am. Richa is a design director at Nagaro with over 18 years of industry experience in driving creative strategy and developing innovative and sharply focused design solutions across various media. In the past, she has designed immersive online and offline experiences for global clients while working with and spearheading design teams for some prominent marketing leaders like Sapient, Adobe, and the Publicis Group. She's on a mission to bring design to the forefront of drive business at Nagaro while leading the UXT COE. I would now welcome ma'am to the session and request her to kindly enlighten the house. Over to
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ritika. I'm just sharing my screen once again. Please do let me know if it is visible.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah?
Yes.
All right. So hi, everyone. Good evening. I'm Richa. I am a creative director leading the design studio at Nagaro, like Dr. Ritika just told you. I think she has given a professional introduction for me already, but I'll just reiterate. I have more than 18 years of experience in the creative industry, have been working with multiple MNCs and startups for, building new products, helping our clients build their products, anything new, design-wise, creative services, pretty much done everything at this point. So today I will try to demystify the term design thinking for you, and provide you with some strategies that you can incorporate, in your everyday life, to make your lives better and more meaningful through design. So I have already given you a professional introduction, but let me also introduce myself to you in a little bit of a personal way. I stay in Gurgaon with my family, my husband and my almost 7-year-old, and my cat Cooper that you see on the screen. I love to paint, and this is some of the work that you can see, and I'm also a novice potter. And now on to the topic of the day. In today's session, we will start by understanding what design thinking is, then take a quick dip.
I would be sorry to interrupt. Can we put it in slideshow mode, Richa?
Is it not in slideshow mode?
No, it is not in slideshow mode. We can actually see your next slides also.
Okay.
Yes, now it's perfect.
Okay, let me just. Can you see my slides and notes and next slides also now?
Yes, now we can see your next slides also.
And now do you see the
Now
next?
it's no, it's again gone back to that same mode. We can I think you can select the option use slideshow at the top. At the top
Can
with
you?
end show, there is an option use slideshow. At the top, see there are 3 options. Yes, use slideshow. Yeah, perfect.
Fine now?
No, it has again gone back to the same. I think select use slideshow and I think you can use your arrow keys.
I just used slideshow. Can you see the other slides also? Can you see
Yes,
the notes also?
yes.
So notes and everything is also visible. Okay, that's
Mhm.
weird. Now?
And now it is fine. I think the problem is because you're trying to use the arrow key. Instead, there are buttons. You select use slideshow, and in the slideshow, only at the bottom there is a button to the next slide.
Yeah,
So you
yeah,
have to only
that's
use your
what
mouse.
that's what I'm using.
In that case, it is ending the slideshow.
Oh no. Okay. Let me try resharing again. Let's see if that
Okay,
works.
fine, fine. I would also welcome Subramaniam Krishnamurthy sir, who has joined us. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Ritika, good evening, Ritika.
Good evening, sir. Welcome to the session.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm trying to share again. Let me know if this works.
Sure.
Is
We
it
can
visible
see
now?
the main slide. No, I think you have zoomed, so we cannot see the complete slide.
Oh, okay. No, I have not done anything of that sort.
But now, yes, now we can see. No, it has again gone back.
Gone back?
Yes. Richa, we can do one thing. I'll share you my mail ID. You can quickly mail me your PPT and I'll share it from my end and you can keep taking the session.
That works perfectly. Just let me know your email ID, please.
I am just sending it to you on WhatsApp. I have sent you my mail ID. You can mail me the presentation.
I'll do that.
Dear participants, we'll just take a minute in order to ensure you a wonderful session.
Apologies for the mix-up, everyone. I'll try to make up for it. Ma'am, it's 20 MB. I hope there's no limit for size.
No limit, no such limit, no problems with that.
All right. It's just mailed it to you. Let me know when you get it.
Yeah.
I sent a PDF. I hope that works.
Yes, I have received it.
Great.
Here it goes. I hope it's visible now.
I can see it.
Fine.
Great. Can you just take us to the third slide, please? That's the agenda.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So I was saying, let's start once again. And so today I will be talking about what design thinking is, then take a quick dip into what the process looks like. I will share some examples of design thinking that we see in everyday life and perhaps how we can use it. Fourth is how we can integrate design thinking in education and how to create a social impact through it. And then we will end with a 15 minute slot for questions and interactions. So yeah, let's begin now. Finally, next slide, please. All right. So today's session, let's start by talking about design before we discuss design thinking. Next slide, please. Man, is there a way to give me the control so that I can, move the slides, or I'll need you to do that for me?
No, I'll do that, ma'am, because I'm sharing it from my system.
Okay,
actually.
sure. All right. So let's start talking about design. So, design is changing. In 2021, Forrester published a new look at the design industry and the trends driving it. And they estimated that the size of the global design industry will be almost 162 billion. And they believe that multiple software categories you would use design to grow more than 20%. And that was the statistics for last year itself. So design is ever changing and it is a part of our everyday lives. On your screen, you can look at how cell phones have changed over the years, right? Barring Gen Z, I think we all would have used the Nokia 3310. So when iPhone first entered the market, it drastically changed the way phones looked and behaved. That just set the wheels of motion in the direction of touch, right? From the traditional buttons to everything went to touch. and great design tech from that of use of mobile phones just to make calls. Now we don't use the phone just to make calls. We are doing a lot more on there. Moving to the next slide. So ever since, design has been evolving. It evolutionized the way we interacted with real life versus how much we do through technology and design now. How we went from one drugstore to another for purchasing medicines to how we just order them online now, right? Design brought about the ease of ordering from the comforts of our homes or offices, wherever we are, right? In We get discounts, we get home deliveries, whatnot these days. And we see this in every sphere of life, be it ordering food or groceries, or even if you wish to, order an entirely new wardrobe of clothes for yourself. We can do it all through the apps and the new tech design. On to the next slide, please. But what triggered this massive shift in products or service model? Have we ever thought about it? Why did we, or do we need to innovate the world as we know it? Why do we keep trying to innovate things? Because human needs are changing and evolving. Whether they are big or small, innovations are best when they address real human needs or problems, and designing a new product, service, business model, or strategy is about changing the thinking process. Thinking process can change when we get into, let's say meeting rooms or groups and discussing ways in which we can bring the change that we have in the mind, right? Which works perfectly when you have like a small team and everyone can come together and brainstorm and they can get on the same page. But when that is not the case, when the teams or the groups are big and there are several of them, like, the world is so global now, teams are not in one country, let alone, one city or anything. So when we need to replicate this process on a large scale, a systematic approach is needed. Design thinking is this systematic approach that helps team discover, clarify, ideate, develop, and implement new and innovative solutions. It is a collaborative, human-centered process to define problems and find creative, practical, and iterative solutions. Design thinking starts with humans. Next slide, please. So what does design thinking process or approach look like? Let's look at the next slide. Design thinking is a 5-stage model proposed by the Hasso-Plattner Institute of Design at the Stanford D School. D School is the leading university when it comes to teaching design thinking. These 5 stages or phases are empathy, define, ideate, prototype, and test. It is a design methodology that provides a solution-based approach to problem solving. It's extremely useful in tackling complex problems that are ill-defined or unknown. By understanding the human needs involved, by reframing the problem in a human-centric way, by creating many ideas in a brainstorming session, and by adopting a hands-on approach in prototyping and testing. Understanding these 5 stages of design thinking will empower anyone to apply this method in order to solve complex problems that occur around us. It can be in our colleges, in our countries, and even on the scale of the planet. So let's try to understand this step by step in a simple way. Next slide, please. So the first step is empathy, and that is the key. We need to understand the users. When you solve a problem, you should know that it is not about you. You need the ability to understand the needs of others and how they feel about it. This is not a fancy word, it is something that we do every day, don't we? Our friend is upset, we try to talk to them, understand their problems and empathize with them before giving them a solution. If we have to, right? Suddenly a student is not performing well, a teacher will try to find out why, isn't it? Because unless we know what the problem or the pain point is, how will you give or build a solution for something? These, what you see on the screen, are glimpses of how we empathized with all kinds of users while building a product. It was for a parking assistance app that we were building. So we got down to the ground and interviewed parking vendors, drivers, car owners, even some parking area owners to identify what their real-time challenges are. So great solutions are not built sitting in silos or even in meeting rooms. You need to step out, be in the user's shoe, and not build something out of your own, existing experience or understanding or mental conditioning. Next slide, please. These are some ways through which we empathize. I won't go into details. I will show it to you for all the steps, but very quickly, naming a few methods. We build personas, we interview business and important stakeholders, making empathy and journey maps, chalking out important user goals, to name a few. You can have a concrete and actionable list of all the pain points or the problem statement that you need to solve for. So, let's take a everyday use case. You come to college one day and you see that a friend or a coworker looks stressed. You ask them that, I've noticed that you've been feeling stressed lately. Can you tell me more about what's been causing it? And they say, that, their workload has increased recently and they are struggling to manage their time effectively. What you did was just empathized with them about their current situation. The next stage is define a problem statement, right? Decide on who you want to design. Yeah, you're on the right slide, ma'am. Decide on who you want to design or solve for and what you want to help them do. Using what you learned in the last stage, it is time to form a clear challenge that you can tackle. It's all about the user, like I have been saying. Remember that it is more about the people that you are attempting to assist than it is about any other constraint or challenge at this point. So what you have to do is just establish a North Star, a very clear goal that you need to achieve. At this stage, we define personas that we are building a solution for. Who are the users? What are their collective goals and behaviors? What pain points do they have currently? And what are their expectations from a new product? Another method is to map out entire user journeys, from the point that a user starts thinking of buying a product or a service to looking at how they are finding that, or the after sales service that they are looking for. It is all mapped out that you can see on the right side of the screen. What kind of research they did they compare other similar products and services? How was their experience buying it? Was it easy, or did they struggle to find more information around it? What was their experience when they used it? How did they feel after purchasing it? It is all covered in this journey map that we made. Next slide. Sorry, you have to go to the previous slide. I was still there. And these are some methods that you can, that can help you do just that. You have to form a clear problem statement by using the how might we method or having a brainstorming session. You can do affinity mapping, which is like organizing a lot of ideas that, you were able to generate during a brainstorm session, and just getting them all together. So going back to the example of your stressed friend or coworker, after listening to their problem and empathizing with them on their situation, you define their problem. You say something like, so it sounds like the challenge here is finding a way to manage your time better while dealing with increased work responsibilities, right? You are doing nothing but taking all the extra chaos and the emotions out of the situation and very clearly stating that this is the problem statement that they are having. Next slide, please. Now, this is the exciting part. Now you can start to ideate for the opportunities that you have defined during the last stage. You understand your user and their problem at hand. So start brainstorming potential solutions. The goal of ideation is to generate a large number of simple and crazy ideas that apply to problem quickly, so that you can have, a discussion to select the best ones. You can prioritize them, come up with different solutions that might be useful to people, and remember that there are no bad ideas at this stage. You can then start to reimagine the entire user journey that you had mapped out earlier during the empathize stage. And with your own ideas and suggestions, you can improve it. You can see how we made a list of ideas on the left side of the screen and arrange them, arrange the similar ones together and then prioritize them in a matrix of value that they bring for the user. and the feasibility of implementation for the team developing it. So basically, high value and low effort items get catered to first, and that's how we slowly build the solutions. We also reimagine the journey maps that we map out in the last stage, filling any gaps that we see, enhancing any point where we see that the user is not happy, and we try to make it perfect overall. Moving on to the next slide. How you can do that is by, like I said, brainstorm. You can do a crazy 8 activity where everyone comes up with, 8 ideas in 8 minutes. You really quickly have to think of solutions. Don't give it too much thought. Just sketch, just write down whatever you're comfortable with. Just do that. You can tell your friend whose problem that you are solving that at this step, both of you, can come up with some solutions together. Maybe try creating a daily schedule for them, setting priorities, or using a productivity app could also help, whatever works for them. Next slide, please. This step is when you start creating the solutions or experience. So you can bring your ideas to life and create interactive prototypes. As a practical example and how design thinking is being taught at my son's school, you see him on the screen here. They had a task to read a storybook. Okay, he is in he's just gone to grade 2, but this activity he did in grade 1. And they are already learning design thinking in the school. They had a task to read any storybook, it could be anything. He read a storybook called A Trip to the Moon, which was a tale of a boy named Neil who dreams that he takes a trip to the moon. And, it was a happy children's story, no problem statement or anything. But I had to sit with my son, Yuvan, and had to apply the design thinking methodology to the story. So I asked him to empathize with Neil, and he did. He empathized with Neil about his trip to the moon. And then he defined a problem statement that Neil was jumping on the moon and he was not able to walk. Then he ideated possible solutions for it. He thought a gravity-inducing spacesuit is a good option. Then he came up with an idea to build a hoverboard, then a moon buggy with various features that Neil doesn't have to step out. The buggy has motorized arms and can collect rock and soil samples on its own, and Neil doesn't have to step out and whatnot. Whatever his little 6-year-old brain could come up with. And then he prototyped this moon buggy that you see on the screen using his magnetic tiles. They had to take this model to school the next day, and they had to test it out with their classmates. They were taught how showing users how the solution works is the best way to test ideas and start a conversation. Moving on to the next slide, please. And you can sketch out your ideas. You can make models like Yuvan did. You can make paper prototypes, which is also something that you saw on the last screen. You can wireframe in design apps if you want to try out advanced stuff. That's how we do it professionally. And going back to the story of your friend whose problem you were solving, you can say, how about we create a sample daily schedule for you? We can allocate time for your work, breaks, relaxation. You can help them bring a structure to their schedule. That's how you are helping them. On to the next screen, please. Now test your prototype with your intended user. The test stage assists you in answering the questions, how well does your prototype solve the problem you originally defined? Run your prototype and get valuable feedback from the right users. The feedback that you get at this stage will help you improve your solution and build something you know will work. Testing can be done in person, it can be done remotely. It can be a moderated session where you ask questions, you ask the users to perform certain tasks and observe how efficiently they are able to do them, or they are not able to do them. It can be unmoderated as well. Usually when you do it on a large scale, that's how you do it. You can mail your prototype link to a lot of people and have them perform basic tasks or answer some questions on your prototype. Next slide, please. So how can you test your solution? You can do A/B testing as seen on the last screen. If there's an existing product that you redesign, you can have users perform a task on both and see which one is easier for them. Or you can do a moderated user or stakeholder review where you run them through the solution and ask them possible constraints that they see. And continuing on our practical application example, you can ask your friend to try out the schedule for a week, right? See how it works. And you both can adjust it basis on the experience. And because this is an iterative methodology, you ask them, a few days or a week later, how the schedule is working out for them. Did it help them in managing the stress and workload? They may say, yes, I felt more organized and less overwhelmed, but I realized that I need longer breaks, right? Something is working, something is not. So you can modify the schedule to include longer breaks and try it out for another week. So this is the iterative cycle that this methodology brings in. Through this conversation, you applied design thinking to help your friend manage their stress and workload better. You empathized with their solution, defined the challenge that they had, ideated possible solutions with them, prototyped a daily schedule, tested its effectiveness, gathered feedback from them, iterated again based on their needs. So this whole example illustrates how design thinking isn't limited to design or big projects, right? It's a problem solving approach. It can be woven into everyday conversations to create thoughtful solutions that are tailored to individual needs and challenges. Next slide, please. Okay, so this was the entire design thinking 5-step process that you saw. I tried explaining it with a generic example. Now let's take a look at some familiar use cases so that you can relate to it better. Next slide, please. Now imagine this scenario where a popular local fast food shop is known for its delicious burgers and shakes. But the customers often complain about, long wait time during peak hours. And this is leading to frustration and inconvenience for both the customers who are in a hurry and people who are serving because their workload, of course, doubles or triples during peak hours. Next slide, please. The fast food shop's team empathizes with the customer's frustration and observes their behavior during busy hours. They realize that customers are eager to get their meal quickly without compromising on the quality, right? They spoke to some customers, they saw what they are trying to do, they tried to know how they can solve for it, and they just basically spoke about the problem statement at this point. Moving on to the next slide. Now the team comes together and they define the problem. They use the how might we method and they said, how might we reduce wait times for customer during peak hours while maintaining the quality of the food? Next, in the brainstorm session, the team generates a range of ideas. They consider solutions like streamlining the order taking process, optimizing the drink making process, how, introducing a pre-ordering app or improving the layout of the store so that there's lesser rush in certain areas and where people are eating, they can eat in peace and it's not like a really bad scenario there. Next, the team creates a prototype for the most promising ideas. For instance, here, they design a digital kiosk where customers can place order themselves. They can explore the new layout that separates order placement from the pickup, and they create a mobile app for pre-ordering. Moving on to testing their designs, they run a trial period with their prototypes. Customers use the digital kiosk, they pre-order through the apps, and they experience the new layout. And when the customers are doing that, the team gathers feedback to understand what works best for the customers. And then the next stage for them was to iterate on their learnings. And based on the feedback that they got from the customer and the real-time data that they gathered, they fine-tune their solutions. They make adjustments to the app's user interface, they optimize the order taking process, and then they refine the store layout even further. Next slide, please. And then finally, they implement their solution. So the fast food shop officially implements the successful solutions that they got, the digital kiosk for self-ordering, a user-friendly app, a new store layout that separates order queue from pickup areas, eating areas, and everything. And by using design thinking, they not only address the problem of long wait times, but also enhance the overall customer experience. Customers can now order efficiently through the app, use the kiosk for self-ordering, and enjoy their meals without any unnecessary delays. So their approach not only solved a common problem, but also demonstrated how design thinking can create meaningful solutions that cater to user needs. Okay, so you already on your screen have no, can you please, yeah, this slide is what I need. Let's talk about some other popular brands and products that leverage the power of design thinking. We all know Airbnb, right? So Airbnb disrupted the hospitality industry by using design thinking to create a platform that enables individuals. Can you please move on to the next screen also? Yeah. So yeah, they created a platform that enables individual to rent out their homes to travelers, right? The platform's success can be attributed to its user-focused design. They are making it easy for hosts to list their space and guests to find unique accommodations. Airbnb's founders empathize with the challenges travelers were facing in finding affordable and unique accommodations, while also understanding the desire of homeowners to monetize their unused spaces. This empathy formed the basis of their mission to create a platform that connects hosts and guests in a meaningful way. So the first version of Airbnb platform was a very simple website that allowed the host to list their spaces and the guests to book them. This prototype allowed them, enough time to test the concept and gather the feedback from the early users. This helped them shaping the direction of the platform's development. They understood that the trust was critical to the platform's success and introduced features like user reviews, host verifications were done, payment security was built into the system, and they needed to create a sense of trust and safety amongst both the users, the ones who are renting out and the ones who are getting it on rent. So Airbnb continues to iterate the innovative, system based on feedback every now and then, and they regularly keep introducing new features as when to refine the existing ones. You can move on to the next slide. The next example, again, I think very common, we'll all know. Starbucks' mobile app, this design exemplifies design thinking by creating a very convenient and personalized experience for coffee lovers. If you have ever used it, you would know that the app allows the users to customize their orders. You can earn reward points. You can, do mobile payments. They enhance the overall coffee buying experience, which was not existing, in at least in India for a long, long time. Moving on to the next slide, please. So Tesla's electric vehicles also showcase design thinking principles because they prioritize user experience and performance of their vehicles as well as sustainability. They have an intuitive touchscreen. They have over an air or on the go updates, and they have emphasis on eco-friendliness. These are all outcomes of a customer-focused design. Before and these days, that's how the scenario is. No matter what you're building, whether it's a product, whether it's a service, people go out and they want to talk to the users before they even get into the idea of sketching anything new. Let's move on to the next one. So you now have a lot of practical examples and of design thinking. You have seen what the process looks like, and you might have a question. If design thinking is this easy and it provides such a structured way of problem solving, why not integrate it in education, right? Next slide, please. I'd say we can totally do that. Design thinking isn't confined to a specific field. It is not a professional thing that you do. It can be integrated into various academic subjects from engineering to social sciences, architecture, art, medias, anything that I can think of. By incorporating design thinking, on the last slide only, please. By incorporating design thinking in education, we encourage students to think creatively, work collaboratively with others, develop solutions that positively impact their communities. So let's take an example, like an engineering course, students can apply design thinking principles to tackle real world engineering challenges. They can ideate and prototype solutions to problems such as, improving energy efficiency or designing user-friendly technology interfaces. Architecture students can use design thinking to create spaces that meet users' needs and preferences. They can empathize with the intended occupants of a space or a building, define architectural challenges, ideate on innovative designs, and then prototype spatial solutions itself. If it can be integrated into curriculum, a lot of schools and colleges are organizing inter and intra college innovation challenges, hackathons that encourage students to apply design thinking to real world problems. These events often result in creative and impactful solution. For instance, students might participate in a hackathon to design assistive device for people with disabilities, or they can develop eco-friendly packaging for their local products and all. These are different ways in which, if not built into the curriculum, design thinking can be used as additional things to help students think about design thinking and apply it. Next thing, screen please. And design thinking's impact goes beyond individual projects, sorry. It can drive positive change on a societal level. Next slide, please. Uh, so how can we do that on a societal level? Design thinking can be a very powerful approach. It can help creating impact on a social level by addressing complex societal challenges in innovative and human-centered ways. Solving for social challenges like environmental sustainability with all kinds of war and unrest, in the world these days, how to help and empower refugees, and displaced communities, how to support the mental well-being of, this was a big challenge during COVID times. People were so isolated. There were a lot of people who actually came up with innovative solutions on how to feel less isolated during the lockdown times. By applying the principles of design thinking, social impact initiatives can become more inclusive, they can become more responsive and effective in addressing the unique needs of diverse communities. This approach also encourages collaboration, empathy, continuous iteration. Ultimately, it leads to sustainability and meaningful changes that positively affect people's lives. Moving on to the next screen, please. As an example to using design thinking for a social impact, Design for America is a remarkable student-led organization dedicated to harnessing the power of design thinking for social change. One of their impactful initiatives focuses on tackling homelessness through innovative solutions. With a commitment to empathy and collaboration, the DFA team of students across the universities engage with local communities, and they try to deeply understand the challenges faced by those experiencing homelessness. Through this empathetic lens, they ideate and prototype creative solutions that addresses specific needs. This can range from, giving them eco-friendly shelters and hygiene to empower and support them. The Fresh Start Bags project that you see on the screen, for instance, exemplifies DFA's dedication to meaningful change. And that too in limited means. Like, it's a student-led organization. How much they don't have a lot of funding. What do? They collect items, extra items that other communities have, and then they put them into different care bags. By providing hygiene items to individuals transitioning out of homelessness, DFA demonstrates how simple yet thoughtful design interventions can have a profound impact on individuals' lives. And through Design for America's homelessness solution, students not only gain practical design experience, but they also contribute to creating a more inclusive and compassionate society for the most in need. Moving on to the next slide, please. So quickly coming on to wrapping this session up, remember that design thinking is not just a process, it is a mindset that empowers us to create innovative solutions with a human touch, of going from absolute uncertainty towards clarity and focus. And, I urge you to use it as much as you can in your daily lives as well. So, I mean, that's it from my side, Dr. Ritika. Thank you all for being a part of this webinar. I wish you all the best as you embark on your design thinking journey. Remember, with design thinking, you have the power to transform the world around you. And I wish you a very, very happy problem solving. And now I'd love to hear from you. You can ask me any questions or share your thoughts on design thinking, its application, or any related topics. And I will try to provide any insights and suggestions based on the queries.
Thank you, Richa. Thank you for the wonderful insight into design thinking. And there are a number of questions that I have. So, with your permission, I would be taking them up now.
Absolutely.
First question we have: design thinking is human centered. So, how is it realized if we do not understand the end user?
It really can't be realized if you don't understand the end user. And that's why we see problems were solved before we coined the term design thinking as well, right? It was not like solutions were not created before people came to know about a term called design thinking. The same things were being done earlier also. It's just that now it has become a proper method, right? That like I said, can be implemented at scale. And there, what it does is keep the humans in the center. And for a long time, ideas used to be the first thing that people used to focus on, right? Somebody has an idea, they have a really good idea, and what they used to do is start building it out and then just create a product and then put it into the market. It used to work sometimes, it used to fail a lot of times. Design thinking came into practice when the failure rate increased a lot, right? That because now what we do is we talk to the users first, the end users, the humans who will be using it. So let me give you an example of, a cab. Like if we have to make a app for booking your cabs to commute from place one to B, A to B. Okay, so there are already many players in the market at this point in time. There's Uber, there's Ola, there's Blue Smart. But all of them didn't come at the same time, right? There came like there was one player in the market, then came another, and eventually even more players come into the market. So why not stop at one point and say, there's already something that exists in the market. I don't want to make anything else in this space. Why are people making more products out of the same problem statement? It is because whatever gaps that they find in the other ones, they try to address them. How do they find those gaps? That can only be found when you're talking to the people who are having the problem. So, I mean, I think I've spoken a lot about the first question itself, but
No,
coming
you
back
have
to the point,
rightly said it that it's very important to understand the end user before you can actually work on the design.
you
Uh,
cannot eliminate them in the
yes,
design thinking process. Yeah.
absolutely. Next question we have, and that is another interesting one that I would say. Can automated open AI solutions like Chat GPT replace humans in this domain?
Uh, To certain extents, yes. And I think that applies for everything as long as chat GPT or AI is concerned, right? There are certain fields where it can be, applied beautifully and seamlessly, where people would not be needed. But it cannot completely eliminate a design thinking professional, I think, because the entire premise is being human, right? And
Absolutely,
AI
absolutely.
can only empathize to the extent of what it knows or has been fed as data. So
I
real
I would say it
emotions,
can only empathize to the part of giving a lot of ideas, but the correct implementation and bringing them to an innovative solution,
it
that human part AI won't be able to achieve.
absolutely. So when we empathize or when we are interviewing a lot of people, there's a qualitative research and a quantitative research, right? Quantitative is more like surveys, you send a lot of questions, you get the answers, and that's your data. You have quick numbers of this was the most number of answers for question A, question B, question C. Qualitative is when we are talking to the user face to face and we are trying to understand what their pain points are. AI uh, cannot understand the emotions a person is displaying, or the unsaid stuff that is there. Like I may be saying, that's a silly question, but really what is happening is maybe I do not know the answer to that. And I just want to, you know, brush it under the carpet by saying it's a silly question. So those are kind
Right.
of non-verbal things that AI cannot really, do anything about. It would not be able to understand that or take it into account. A human would be able to. The
Absolutely.
areas I think it can really help in is just taking all the data that we get in terms of user research while we are doing design thinking and give us meaningful insights out of those.
Absolutely. Next question I think we have from certain students. What abilities should a fresher have to be a part of a design team?
Uh, Very good question. Something that I deal with almost on a frequent basis. I won't say a daily basis, but a frequent basis. Uh, what qualities you should have? I'd say that you should, if design is something that really interests you, you need not have like a proper degree for it. Like that's not a requirement. I have a lot of people in my team who started out as engineers. I have architects, all kinds of people from all different spheres. How did they end up becoming interested in design and then learning the methodology is something that makes them a good designer or not. So what you need to do is, and then, I am purely answering from a point of view of user experience and design thinking or a workshop methodology. I'm not talking about visual design. If that is the question, please type in the chat and I will give you a related this thing answer for it. There are many different streams in design as well. There is user experience, there's visual design, there's product design at this point in time, design thinking. Some people do very differently, like there's a small group that does only design thinking. So there are many different things to do in design. What makes you a good candidate to be a part of the design team? You should know a lot about the methodology first. As a fresher, it's not expected that you have a lot of practical knowledge, but at least all the theoretical knowledge in terms of what the methodology is, what are the different things that you can do in order to, find the right problem statement. Like that's where we start from. We don't say, somebody comes to us and say, this is what my problem statement is and we are trying to solve for it. Can you help us build a product or service for this problem statement? We don't go ahead and start making a solution for that problem statement. Our first step is to validate that problem statement, whether that problem statement itself is the right problem statement or not, right? Because sometimes you think that this is the problem, but ultimately when you drill down to the why, what's, and everything, you come to know that the actual problem is something else. So that's what we do. So you should know about all of this. You should know about the methodology and the theory and everything. And you should be a keen observer, empathetic person. All of these things would make you a good fit into a design team.
Yes. One more question we have. If teams are remotely located now, COVID, like since COVID, work from home is the new culture. So
Yeah.
if teams are remotely located, can they still collaborate to a successful design team?
Absolutely. We are still remote mostly. We are still not back to the office. A lot of people enjoy that, a lot of people don't. And we think that freshers or, even people with limited number of years of experience should definitely go to office to understand what a working environment is like. You learn a lot just through osmosis. Like you're standing with somebody else and they're talking about something and you're still learning, even if it's not pertaining to your domain. It could just be, how you conduct yourself in a professional environment. How do you talk? How do you find solutions? All of those things are very important. Coming back to the question, yes, we still collaborate very well. There are multiple tools, of course, where we Teams calls have become a butt of a lot of jokes these days, but that's what happens. You are on calls, you have your cameras on, you're still collaborating. There are so many tools. We use Miro for workshops. When COVID hit, we were thinking of we conduct a lot of workshops with clients and stakeholders. That meant a lot of travel for us a lot of times, and that's, like I said, the basic premise of user experience or design thinking, that you are going to the user, you are understanding what they are doing. We do contextual inquiries that you saw, like, we went to the parking area to actually see how different users are using it. We get into their environment. So it became a
Absolutely.
challenge during those times. And we were like, how do we do it? How challenging is it? There's Miro, there's FigJam, there is many collaborative tools that you can use to overcome these challenges. We conducted our interviews online, on a camera. We are both talking, like, Dr. Ritika and I are talking right now. It's as close as we can
Absolutely.
get to like a conversation two people can have. I can still see her, still observe her, and that's how we did it. So you make the best of
Mhm.
the situation that's been given to you, and we have been able to do it beautifully. And you can, I think, there's no stopping a person who really wants to do something, and people have found their ways to do it.
Absolutely, very rightly said. One last interesting question that I again find over here. You said like design thinking is a problem solver, but in what situation can design thinking be a problem itself? Like if there are fuzzy customers, there are confused customers. So how does design thinking overcome that kind of a problem? Because it's
Yeah.
more of human centric.
Absolutely. So, I mean, you remind me of a quote from the founder of Ford, I think, if I rightly remember it, that if you asked people what they wanted at that time when cars didn't exist, they would have said faster horses,
Hmm.
right? They would
Right.
not have said
Absolutely
cars.
right.
So we say that the entire premise of design thinking is users, but we also take a lot of people into consideration. Why we say that we interview business stakeholders is because the business stakeholders also have a vision that they are coming from. So we
Absolutely.
look at that as well. It's not like they are always incorrect or anything. They are people who have come up with certain ideas. They know what they want to do with their product or service. So we interview them. We try to understand their perspective. Why are they building a product? What do they want to do it? What is their vision for it? What is it that they are looking that this product will do in the coming 5 or 10 years, right? All of this is discussed right at the beginning when we're even not started on making a prototype of it. We are just at the stage of discovery where we are just talking about what it is. Their vision is taken into consideration. The technological constraint, if it's like, let's say, a software that we are building, an app that we are building, or a website that we are building, or if it's like a physical product, then of course product engineers will be consulted, and they would be asked again right at the beginning, what are the constraints of doing a certain thing? How can we take this idea and make it 10x better, right? All of
Yes.
these things are discussed, and users are also consulted then. So, and why we build personas, you saw the personas that we build one
Yes.
persona after interviewing at least 8 to 10 users. So there are different user types also. So let's take an example that during COVID times, let's say the school classes went online, right? Schools and colleges, everything. Uh, uh, we created platforms to collaborate where teachers could come and teach, where students are coming and attending their classes. Smaller kids like mine, I had to be a very active participant because they could not use the technology themselves, like a kindergarten or a grade one student can't do it themselves. So parent is also an active user of a particular product. So we, for the same application, we have three different user types, right? We have the teachers who have to make education plans and impart the classes. There are students who are coming, looking at their schedules and their classes, and then there are parents who are coming, accessing the classes for their kids, accessing the assignment for their kids. The teachers have to check it and give it back. A lot of stuff happens. So one platform, three different types of user. For each user type, we would discuss, talk to at least 10 to 15 to 20 people, and that's when we create one single persona, where we do not look at one individual or two individual people's preferences or their problem statements. We look at the common patterns that we found in the 10-15 people, right? Those are the problems that we cater to. We do not cater to individual people's problems. So we might find a user that's really confused, but our job becomes to find the right pattern that we need to solve for.
Absolutely, very rightly said, Richa. And with this, I would thank you for this wonderful session today. I'll also welcome Ajay Goel sir, who has just joined us today for this session. So welcome to the session.
Good evening, Dr. Ritika. So nice to see this.
Good evening, sir.
Hi, Ajay.
Richa.
Hey.
I would now invite Professor M.N. Huda sir, Director, Bharati Vidyapeeth Institute of Computer Applications and Management, to thank Richa ma'am for this wonderful session today with this certificate, a small token of remembrance.
Thank you so much, Richa, for this wonderful session. And I'm sure on this design thinking, many more such sessions are required to be organized. And this certificate is not for the purpose of certification, rather for the purpose of remembrance that you have been part of this lovely webinar. Thank you so much. All the best.
Thank you so much for the
We
opportunity.
also have the e-memento.
This memento is again part of your remembrance. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. The pleasure was
And friends,
mine.
this meeting room is converted to a facilitation center now. All the best to all of you.
So once again, thank you, Richa. Thank you so much for the wonderful session.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.